Ready?
Yes,
Do it.
sir. How's it going, Mike?
Good, good. How you doing, Bobby?
Really good, thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited. See what we
Yes.
can do.
I'm really grateful, first of all, because when I joined, it was about 3 months ago. I've been seeing a lot of changes in my life,
Ooh,
personal and professional, and it feels really good to be
yeah.
part of all that you're doing.
That's amazing to hear.
So, who are you?
Yeah.
When I met you, I was like, I want to get to know you more.
For sure. Obviously, name is Mike Blair. Got into real estate in 2017. Kind of got recruited in, which is different than most people that got into real estate. Two of my friends, they actually reached out to me and asked if I knew anybody that would be interested in coming into their organization to help them grow their real estate business. And at that particular time, I was 50-50 partners in a branding and apparel company. And
Okay.
what my friends didn't know is that I was actually kind of in the process of selling my 50% back to my partner so I could move on and do some other things. And so they caught me
Nice.
at the right time. And I had always had an interest in real estate. I was just kind of dumb and naive. I didn't realize that there was opportunities to build a business in real estate. I thought you just had to be an agent. And so I
Yes.
never did. And so when they reached out to me, it was interesting because it gave me an opportunity to get involved in the real estate business without being an agent, because I didn't really have an intention to be an agent.
Okay, so you didn't get your license
No.
in 2017.
Yeah. So in 2017, I started as a director of sales and operations for a
Okay.
real estate team. I was not licensed. I never sold real estate, obviously. And I
Hmm.
actually didn't get my real estate license until 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just before COVID.
Just before COVID. Perfect time,
So,
right?
so how was that? Like when you got your license, you were so excited to go into the field.
Not necessarily either, right? So
Uh-huh.
like my intention getting into real estate was not to be an agent. And so in 2019,
Mm.
when I did get a license, it was because I was kind of starting to do some activities that required a license, because I was recruiting and training and developing systems and tools for agents.
Okay.
Sometimes it started to become uh, or get to a point to where like I would help them hands on. And so
Hmm.
when that started to happen, then it kind of made sense to get a license just to protect myself and protect the agents and make
Right.
sure that I had all the credentials needed to do those activities. Before that, I wasn't really doing any sales activity or talking about numbers or talking to clients. And so I
Hmm.
didn't need a license prior to that. And so even though I got my license in 2019, I actually didn't sell a house until like mid 2020. I didn't
Okay.
sell my first house until 2020.
And how was that?
It was great. Yeah.
Too many people wanted to buy because of the interest.
It was an interesting time because I had left that real estate team in early 2020, like literally right before
Mm,
COVID.
right.
And when I left that real estate team, they had gone to a different brokerage and followed a different model, and so that was awesome for them, but it just wasn't my path. And
Hmm.
so we kind of parted ways, and I ended up working for an investor. And I went to work at an investor, and then COVID like kind of started happening during that time, and there was a
Right.
lot of uncertainty because at that time they started locking things down.
Yeah.
This is like April, May, June of 2020, and
Hmm.
like you couldn't see houses, you couldn't go in person. There's all these changes going on, and that's kind of how I got started actually selling real estate during all the changes. And so I think it was
Wow.
a blessing for me because I had to learn how to adapt quickly, right?
Hmm.
Because there's a
Yes.
lot of changing dynamics going on. And so in order for me to adjust and still be successful, I had to make adjustments into the business and into the model that we were doing.
Nice. So I did get my license in 2019 as well.
Okay, I didn't know
But in my case, I took the wrong route. I
that.
think, I'm not sure. But instead of going into real estate, I just went home. I went to Mexico to
Yeah,
see the family, to be with the family. And
I
I
think
don't,
that's great
yeah, I think I learned
because
a
you never get that
lot.
time back. And
True,
so,
true.
getting into the business, it's timing and it's different for everybody. And
Yes,
so,
indeed. And I think all that I learned and the companies that I was working with, it just helped me as well to get into real estate again with a
good,
different mentality, more serious to do real estate.
good, good.
And when I met you and saw Kevin, Kevin M. Shout out.
Yeah.
I started to click and like connected the dots, and I was like, okay, God is telling me something to do this today. That's awesome. 2019, 2020, it was
Yeah.
challenging days.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think today, 2024? I believe it's very challenging, very similar to 2020,
Mhm.
kind of. But what do you think?
Yeah. I mean, I think real estate will always be challenging, right? I think
Mhm.
that's the nature of this business. We sell a very expensive product, right? Being
Yes.
that a house in San Diego where we live is typically the most expensive either purchase or sale anybody's going to make. And so because we're dealing with a product like that and we're offering a service to help with that type of product, there will always be challenges that we have to solve. And so it's never going to be a perfect storm of opportunity as far as interest rates being perfect, the amount of inventory being perfect, the buyers being able to qualify perfectly. Like that doesn't exist. And so for me as a real estate professional, agent, and a team leader, it's just really understanding the current dynamics and how to make adjustments accordingly. Invest in the right things, whether that's marketing, team members, admin staff, right? How to supplement the organization, but also how to adjust our scripts, our presentation, our conversations so that we
Right.
can guide people in the right direction. Because what we would share before maybe doesn't apply right now, right? And
Hmm.
so we have to continue to evolve and get better so that we could serve the clients that we have.
Totally agree. And to add, I think we need to adapt to change.
Yeah, of course.
And we are in a changing industry all the time.
Yeah,
So adapting is one of the most like best ways to stay
yeah,
in the industry. So you've been working in real estate for about what is it, 6, 7 years
yeah. Over
already?
7 years now.
So what do you do before?
So right before real estate, I owned a branding and apparel agency, and that kind of came about because prior to that, years prior to me owning that company, I actually had a corporate job in like
Okay.
uniforms, apparel, and branding, and so it kind of came back full circle when I kind of got into that company. But in between the corporate job and the branding agency, I
Hmm.
actually owned restaurants, and I did some
Okay.
business consulting. So
Nice.
I owned restaurants for about 5 years, and then while owning restaurants, I did do some business consulting for a larger organization that basically they would fly me out to a different company. Some were local, some were like out of state, and I would spend a couple days in that company to understand and learn all their dynamics of finance, sales, operations, marketing, and
Nice.
then propose like a consulting package based on my findings. So I
Okay.
kind of always had that consultative business approach.
Right.
And so that's kind of how I run and treat the agents on the organization, right? Everybody's business plan is a little bit different.
Right.
And the conversations I have with each agent is a little bit different because it's
Hmm.
based on the business that they're growing, not necessarily like a business in general. So it's more of a consultative kind of
Yes.
approach.
It's like everybody has their own way,
Mhm.
their own business plan. So it's just different for
Yeah.
each person. So you were a real estate agent first. And why do you want to become like a real estate coach?
Yeah. Like,
And I'm grateful that you are my coach.
yeah. I'd say transitioning from like agent to team leader,
Hmm.
um, for me was a more of a natural progression. And I think it's because, like, to be completely honest, I never wanted to be a real estate agent, right? And yet, sometimes you have to go through it to
Hmm.
be able ultimately to help people through it also. And so, in the
Mm.
beginning, like when I started, I wasn't an agent, right? And so, even though I was training and recruiting and building tools for agents, I
Yes.
wasn't an agent. And so, while I was good at doing that, I wasn't fully vested because I never had gone through it as an agent.
Okay.
So when I left that organization and pursued like the investment side, I also started selling real estate. And the intention was for me to learn all of the ins and outs of what it takes to be not only an agent, but a
Hmm.
top agent, right? So I had a different level of desire and focus to like become the best as fast as I could so
Yes.
that I can help others become the best as fast as they could,
Yes.
right? So I knew if I could figure it out,
Uh-huh.
then I can help other people figure it out too at a different level than I was doing it before. So, fast forward from 2020 till now, which we're in 2024, I
Hmm.
think I've sold total about 230 houses in a 4-year period, right?
Only
Only 234. And so I got done my fair share of real estate transactions.
Yes.
So then it makes me not only more credible, but I also know what it's like selling one house at a time, selling two houses at a time, selling 10 houses at a time. And so if an agent comes into an organization like ours and they're like, Mike, I want to sell 50 houses a year, I actually have done that. So I can honestly and give great feedback on what that looks like, what the day-to-day looks like, what the schedule looks like, what you need to focus on, because I've actually done it, not just coached it before, right? So I kind of went into the agent role with an intention to become a master at being an agent so that I can then transition to be a team leader and help a lot of agents become masters at being an agent.
And that's how actually you convinced me. The first open house that I went in Chula Vista, Colorado Avenue, I just had so many questions. And when you started telling me all the houses that you sold, I was like, you need to teach me, please.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why, like, for me, with the agents that I'm around, whether they're on our team or people that I know, like, most of my friends are real estate agents, right? And so I can give advice or give feedback or share experiences or stories because I've done it, right? Like, my first actual transaction as an agent came from an open house. And so when people ask me, well, why do you do open houses? Like, does those still work? Can you convert from that? Like, some of my best clients came from an open house.
You would say that's the best source of...
It can be if that's in your wheelhouse of skill sets and desire. So every agent's different, right? And so if they like face-to-face interaction, they like working directly with people and having that conversation in person, then open houses are still a great way to be able to connect with people face-to-face.
True. And I mean, we're selling houses, so the best way to connect with people is being at a house.
I think so.
Selling that house.
Yeah, it's a little bit easier than selling it from a phone, in my opinion, right?
Yes.
So again, every agent's different. Like, we just brought in a new agent recently. He's really good on the phone, right? Like, he spent years and years selling on the phone. And so for him, part of his business plan is selling on the phone, right? He's going to integrate open houses and some other things, and yet his skill set is already on the phone because he understands tonality and understands scripts and understands how to move people forward into an appointment. But the goal from being on the phone is still to take them from phone to in person at some point. Right. And so you still have to get good at in-person interaction.
Correct. Yeah. For me, sometimes it's hard to be on the phone.
Yeah.
You just have to get in the right mindset. Like the Wolf of Wall Street said, pick up the phone, start dialing. Door knocking, I think, is a good way, or personal introduction.
Personal introduction.
So much better. Yeah. I think it's harder, but better, because you're there in the neighborhood just introducing yourself.
Yeah.
And open houses are the best,
I
think.
And I think the ultimate, right, is if you can combine all three.
Right.
If you can leverage cold calling, leverage door knocking, and then drive people to the open house, then you're maximizing an opportunity.
Right. Yeah. And where do you think, are you from San Diego?
I am. Yeah.
Born and raised.
San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go Padres, right?
Yeah, of course. They got a game coming up, so hopefully tonight, right?
So, what have you seen through San Diego? All the changes since 1990s, I guess.
Yeah, so I'm older than you, right? So I was born in '85, so I've seen San Diego. Thanks.
You're like 30.
I've seen San Diego change, right, in so many different ways, right? And so from a development standpoint to a price standpoint to just economically, a lot of changes taking place. Even when I got started in real estate in 2017, 18, 19, there was times that, my team was selling, let's call it like $1 million house. And the house was amazing for sure, but that same house right now is like 1.5, 1.8 million. And so even just in my short 7 years of being in real estate, the market has gone up drastically.
And do you think it's going to keep going up?
I do, because one, San Diego is a high demand location.
America's finest city.
So people want to move here and are gravitating towards here. And so that demand stays high.
Right.
And
it
so
has a lot of tourism.
Yeah, a lot of tourism. People want to live here and love to live here. And they're willing to pay more to live here. Like for me, I'm willing to pay more to stay in San Diego versus moving to Texas or moving to Florida. Ooh. Like right now in Florida, unfortunately, there's hurricanes going on. Like, is it more cost effective to live in Florida? And are there better tax advantages or other components like that? Potentially, yes. And do I want to live through hurricanes every year? Not really. So
No grass.
I'd rather pay more and live right here in San Diego and not only not worry about those things, but also have a better lifestyle, in my opinion.
Yes, indeed. So you agent, mentor, team lead.
Hmm.
Do you invest as well?
Yeah,
Do you have properties in San Diego?
I do. So I
Okay.
love investing in real estate, and I think that's the ultimate goal for me, like running a team, is
Hmm.
hopefully to teach the team members that are around me to build a portfolio, to invest in real estate, invest in themselves, invest in their education, but
Yes.
ultimately build wealth with real estate. And so that's the goal with the agents around me, and the goals with the clients I work with is I want to educate them to be able to use real estate as a tool to build wealth.
Nice. And out of all the properties that you have, which one is your favorite?
Ooh,
And like what location do you
yeah,
think is the best one?
that's good. I got multiple favorites for different reasons, right? So I would say my ultimate favorite is my first property because I still own
Okay.
it, right? So the very first
Okay.
house that I bought in 2011, I still own that house. And in the beginning, I house hacked it. So I bought it. I lived in one room. I rented the other three rooms. I was single at
Nice.
that time, wasn't married. And so I could house hack that for a few years. So I did that. And
That's
that helped
awesome.
me buy my next house.
Is that close to the beach or
It's
what?
actually somewhat. It's in Chula Vista, so
Okay.
not too far from the beach. But yet, it's iconic because it's my first house, and I ended up
Right.
being able to keep it and leverage that house to buy other real estate. So I would say that one stands out, of course. Second favorite right now is we do own a beach condo,
Okay.
and we do midterm rentals on that beach condo. But because sometimes it's not always rented,
Hmm.
in between we get to take advantage of it, and so we
Oh,
got
so you
to stay
use
there a
it.
few times, like in our own place,
Nice.
but it's on the beach, and it's a cool experience to be able to have your own vacation
It's
rental.
like a little vacation.
Yeah, so then like it kind of makes me more interested in vacation rentals in other parts
Hmm.
of the country or other parts of the world. Like if we could own that vacation there whenever we wanted to, but then rent it out the other times,
Right.
that sounds fun to me
Oh,
because we
that's
love to
awesome.
travel. So like it gives me another excuse to travel.
And I think you just went to is was it? I don't want to get it wrong, but was it Italy? Like you went to
We went
Europe?
to Italy this year,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, we've traveled a couple times this year.
Nice.
Yeah, so
So
travel is amazing, right? And I
yes.
think that real estate for me has been a vehicle to be able to create opportunities, right?
Hmm.
So that not only can we afford to travel, but we can build a business around our lifestyle. And so for me, building a real estate business helps me create leverage, helps me be
Hmm.
able to travel and still not worry about the business so much because I have people like you on the team. I have admin staff on the team that can hold down the day to day for the most part.
Hmm.
So the business is not 100% dependent on me anymore.
Right.
And that's the goal I want to teach to the other agents on the team is that I had to pay for that leverage up front. The team
Hmm.
members on the team actually get that from day one. So I didn't have that from day one. So I think
We do.
sometimes people take that for granted because they don't know what that means yet because they haven't
Uh-huh.
experienced transactions at a high level. But the leverage actually gets better the more transactions that you do.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And I was gonna say also, I think real estate we can have not necessarily the freedom of time,
Mm-hmm.
but flexibility
Yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
We can always change the schedule. We can travel
Yeah.
and do real estate pretty much anywhere,
Yeah. For sure.
right?
Yeah. And again, you can create leverage for yourself, right? Like if you
Hmm.
did truly want to build a business that you could do from anywhere in the world, then you have to just add some pillars or add some layers to it to be able to do that. So for example, let's say Bobby, you were like, Mike, I just want to be gone for 6 months, but I don't want my business to slip. Then my suggestion to you would be, okay, well, figure out how you could build a lead generation system that can continue to generate leads, whether you're calling or you're running online ads or whatever that is for you, that you
Hmm.
could do anywhere in the world, but you have to have a partner or a team or an agent on our team or somebody to do your
Okay.
physical things for you, the things that are local, meaning showing houses, going to an inspection, things like that. And if you can carve out some of your commission and pay somebody else to do those things for you,
Hmm.
you can literally do this business from anywhere in the world. But
Okay.
there's a strategy to be able to do that and implement that and creating the right synergy and partnerships and comp plan for the supplemental help.
Uh-huh.
It's easy to do, but most people don't even think about that, right? Like
So,
you could build a business right now from somewhere else in the world.
are you serious?
Yeah, if you really wanted to. But you would have to get good at lead generation because that's one of the activities that's non-replaceable.
Like the most important one.
Yeah.
So can you help me create a strategy next year?
Yeah, for sure.
I want to go to Santiago's Way. I don't know if you've ever been in Spain, El Camino de Santiago.
Okay, sounds amazing.
It's for 1 month. You just walk for 1 month.
Nice.
I don't know how many miles, but yeah, many miles.
That's cool.
And September.
Okay.
So I have to prepare in order for me to go over there and come back and not be stressed, I guess, to get more business.
Yeah, the objective for me, and it should be the objective for you in this scenario, is that you can build a business that when you leave, it doesn't crumble and disappear, right? And so you have to build towards that, meaning you have to have your lead generation in place. You have to build a good pipeline. You have to automate some tools and systems and be able to serve clients whether or not you are physically here. And if you can do that, then you could go for 2 months.
Right.
Because then you'll have admin staff, you'll have team here that can help you. Like if you had a client that needed to go see a property, well, you can leverage somebody else to do that.
So how many people are in your team?
Right now we have a little bit over 20 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think when I joined it, like 14, 15?
Yeah, I mean, we've been attracting some new talent recently, and it's always awesome to experience that, right? And so right now, the way that our team is set up, like I look at the infrastructure, and we can probably take on about 30 agents with like the tools and infrastructure and admin staff that we have. After about 30, then we're going to need to layer on some additional support staff. So right now we're in the low to mid 20s team member wise, and so we have room capacity wise for a couple others.
Right. And you have experience in creating teams for other companies.
Yeah, for sure. The last investment company that I was working with, we had about 50 team members on that.
Oh, wow.
In that company, and I was the COO of that company, so I kind of oversaw all of the different departments. So pretty good at building teams and just understanding people in general,
right?
And then understanding their personality types and how I can have conversations with them. Because sometimes for you and I, you might see me one way, but somebody else on the team actually might see me a different way because my conversation with them is different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So you know about like psychology,
a little bit,
human behavior,
a little bit,
Human, like
and
HR.
some people, HR, but also like what drives certain people or motivates certain people. So, I mean, maybe we're going too deep on that, and most people don't pick up on it. So this is probably the first time I'm sharing it, like on camera. But like in certain team meetings, you might hear me say things, and they're intentionally challenging other people in the room, right? And so I know that may not drive you to take action, but for somebody else, in my mind, I'm focused on how do I get that person to take more action. So there are certain things that I say or will bring up to spark other people. And sometimes it's you too. So like there are times that I'm talking to you, but not to you.
Directly.
Yeah.
Yes. I felt it before.
Yeah. So that is how, from a leadership standpoint, right? You have to read the room and understand who's there and be able to have trainings or have conversations or coaching around the dynamic that's in front of you. So even when we do, like last week, I think you were here, we broke up the team into 3s for script practice, right?
Yes.
There was an intentional reason why you were on the team that you were on.
Okay.
Right? Because I know that I remember this. See, the thing is, like, I try to remember and focus on certain dynamics like that. So I remember you were in a group with Kevin. Right. And I put that intentionally because you were going after some distressed sellers, which Kevin's really good at.
Yes.
And so I wanted to make sure that I used script practice in that environment versus with somebody else.
Yes.
So like even all the way down to that, most people think like we're just paired up.
Random.
It's not random, but it seems like that sometimes.
And I learn a lot.
Yeah. So
Kevin knows a lot too.
So
no, that's awesome. So how do you see yourself the next 5 years? Where do you see yourself?
Yeah.
Do you see yourself with this company making it bigger?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't necessarily care about quantity. Quantity for me is an opportunity to help more people. So if more people are gravitating towards me and working with our team and I can add value to those, then I'm willing to take on more quantity. But I also want to focus on quality, and I want to create higher level producers, higher level impact of people. And
Nice.
so my goal is to kind of have a combination of both, but focus more on helping people actually hit a bigger goal and chase a bigger dream.
Nice.
And so with that comes kind of a higher level of team growth, because if 10 or 20 or 30 people on our team were all 100, 200, 300K earners, then we would kind of automatically become one of the top teams, if not the top team in San Diego.
Right.
So that's a default by me focusing on the team members, adding value, helping them level up. Like as a byproduct, we will probably become one of the top teams, if not the top team.
And that's our goal.
Yeah. So the goal is to serve more people and help more agents like you chase a big dream, right? I want you to say, Mike, every year I get to travel for 3 months and I don't worry about time or money.
I only need 2.
Like, that would be awesome. So that's the goal. And if I could do that with you and with a lot of other people, then we will kind of naturally become one of the top organizations. So while that is a goal, right, I don't actually straight go after that goal. I figure out, okay, internally or within what I can control, how do we indirectly get to that goal?
And another question that just came to mind, do you ever thought about becoming a broker? Or
That's a good question. I get asked that a lot, actually. And right now I have no intention of becoming a broker and running my own brokerage. I have a unique position, like being a team leader within a brokerage. And I think that creates a lot of leverage, a lot of opportunity, a lot of relationships that I kind of wouldn't be able to do if I was my own broker. And so like the brokerage that we're at, we're nationwide. And that provides a lot of opportunities for referrals, but for learning, for kind of systems on a different scale. And then being a top agent in the brokerage, it also gives me certain access, right? So like actually today I got invited to, if you know who Andy Elliott is, they're doing like a private training with Andy Elliott in Scottsdale at his office, right? With a couple other agents in my brokerage. So
nice.
Things like that, right? If I was my own broker in San Diego only, I probably wouldn't have that reach. So I don't really have an intention to be a broker locally.
So you see yourself doing this for the next
what?
How many years?
I actually love real estate, so I feel like I'll be involved one way or the other in real estate for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And eventually, I don't want to say I'm going to get out of production. Right now, I spend about 30% of my time in production still. And the goal eventually is to bring that number down a little bit. Still always stay in production because I like being involved in selling some real estate and working, especially on the investor side and things like that. But I want to open up more capacity to be able to help more agents. And so the less that I sell, the more I can help another person.
Right.
So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to take too much of your time.
Yeah.
I know you're busy. You have an appointment right now.
Yeah, good stuff, man.
Where can we find you?
Honestly, the best way is on Instagram. So if you just go at Mike Blair Realty, that's the best way. I provide content on there almost daily, and that's the best way to kind of learn more about me and kind of send me a message and connect with me.
Awesome. Mike, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Bobby.
And
Appreciate
I'll see you soon.
Awesome. Let's go. Good job.
I wanted to go more, but I know you're busy.
It's all right. We can do another one later.